This episode of Brewed There, Drank That is filmed in front of a live studio audience. How we doing, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Rounds, which is, of course, part of the Brewed There, Drank That family. My name is Glenn, and you found yourself in the freshest and tastiest in all that brews. Now that I've introduced myself, I have the fantastic pleasure of having retired serviceman Matt P. here, and it's important to note that All That Ales and the Brewed There, Drank That is not about my opinion solely. It's about the opinions of a growing number of us who live here in this fantastic brewer nation of ours. So that being said, he's not a hardcore beer slash foodie, but he knows what he likes and he knows what he doesn't like, and that's all you have to know.
Yep. By the way, we're cracking into a bottle of Allagash right now.
This is the Allagash Confluence. So called because it's actually brewed with beta-myces. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with beta-myces, typically this is the starter yeast for wine fermentation. So what they've done is they've taken an ale recipe. Thank you, my good man. They've taken an ale recipe, and when it came time to add the appropriate yeast, they swapped it out for these beta-myces. Then they went ahead and continued to dry hop it. Oh, that's pretty. Wow, very nice. And they dry hopped it as they would a fine ale. This comes in at 7.4% alcohol by volume. This is most certainly an unfiltered beer, and the shelf life on this beer should be in excess, probably 3 to 5 years. That being said, aging is always nice. This one probably aged about, give or take, at best, 6 months. At best. Definitely south of filtered, little thick. It's got a well-structured head, more similar to champagne than what you see out of a typical beer.
Ooh. It actually smells a little woodsy.
It's almost biscuity, yeah, absolutely.
It does. And while you're waiting on yours to head down, I'm going to go ahead and take the first sip.
Absolutely.
That is hands down one of the best
Yeah?
IPAs I've ever had. That's awesome. Its hopsy influence over my palate is just intense. It's so good. It's a great beer.
A lot of bubbles. A lot of carbonation on this one. If you're a fan of the beers that play a lot like champagnes, this would definitely be one of the stops you would need to make. Infinium, Sriracha Ace are two other fantastic examples, but that thick consistency on the bubbles.
Yeah, it's the beer itself is so thick that I mean, it kind of tastes like they double harvested the barley.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
It makes it seem more thick and more rich, like a cream.
Mm. It does, yes.
That's what
it's
it
got
looks
that
like
creamy
too.
kind
It's
of
more creamy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first impression when you buy the bottle from the liquor store, is you look at it and it looks really thick. It looks yellow. It looks like pumpkin, which right now this time of year is perfect because everybody's buying the pumpkin beer. So pick up a bottle of this when you get some pumpkin beer at the store.
Definitely on the higher end of things. In terms of the price point, this one was not gentle on you at all.
$17.
Give or take.
I paid $17.99 and it was off the shelf. So you do the math.
So there you go.
Per beer.
But definitely worth a visit and absolutely worth supporting Allagash. This is definitely a beer I more see as a special occasion or a treat for myself. Having a fine guest on my show like this is no such exception. So that being said, guys, we will see you over our next pint.
Roast. Kind sir. Cut.